Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Needs Some Introduction. I'm your host, Victor, and on this podcast, we are recommending and breaking down something we're watching, usually a TV show, usually week to week. And currently, we are watching Smoke on Apple TV and also watching the very entertaining Dexter Resurrection series. Darren, are you caught up on that?
I'm caught up on Dexter and I'm loving it so far. It's so fun.
This fourth episode's so fun. Speaking of fun episodes, I've been kind of scratching my head a little bit in what Smoke's trying to do, and I'm still am. We will have much to talk about in this particular episode of the show. But regardless of that, I found this episode to be like really good. There was some really suspenseful scenes, some very funny scenes. This was the best episode of the show, I think. How did you feel about it?
Well, look, I'm loving it. Like, I don't know whether it's because it's a guilty pleasure, Smoke and Dexter, but they're both so entertaining. And I'm loving Smoke. I think it's great.
Yeah, this is a really interesting episode, by the way, because of the fact that they leaned right into making it into a thriller, and it was very good. And just some of the scenes were very intense, but also leaning right into this comedy too, like big time. And especially like the final moments of this episode, we'll get into it in the breakdown, just absolutely laughing out loud. Like one of the most intense moments I've had on TV this entire season. I was like, wow, this is a really intense moment. And then broke it up with one of the most hilarious things I've seen recently. I'm like, I don't know what this show's even doing at this point, but somehow it's working. This whiplash from hysterically funny to intense. All right, before we get to all of that, I did ask you to rank the MCU.
Mate, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I've done my homework, and the further that I looked into the list, the more thought I needed to put into it. I'm sorry, I'm still not sure if it's complete. It's a list that can just keep changing any second of the day. The more you think about it, I think.
Yeah, I actually like, this is what I kind of like the exercise of making the lists. I had movies that I had ranked less, like in my letterboxed star ratings. But as I was just putting them next to each other, I'm like, well, that is better than that one. So like little by little, like some of these ones I had ranked lower down kept bubbling higher and higher on the list. But I think the top 10 was pretty solid for me. What it is for me, and I think maybe you have a similar experience, there's so much of the MCU that is kind of like, this is like, I like this character, but this wasn't a really good movie, or it has a good start, but the ending's really boring. So it's all a lot of these films are mixed bags. So there's like a very mushy middle of the list that probably isn't even worth ranking, to be honest with you, because it's kind of this medium space it's in. But I thought my top 10 is pretty solidly lined up. Like I didn't have many questions about how I'd rank those. So maybe we'll walk through them and see where we might surprise each other on that ranking. And maybe talk about the bottom of the list too. Like I said, the middle, there's a whole bunch of ones in the middle, I have to say. And maybe we'll talk about where Fantastic Four lands in that. Did you get a chance to see it?
I did. I saw it yesterday.
What'd you think?
I had a great time in the cinema. Yeah, I took my son, I took one of my daughters, and my youngest daughter was enthralled the whole time. She loved it. And my son was like, oh yeah, another superhero movie, but I think he still liked it. He's a teenager, so he's like, he only likes Christopher Nolan movies at the moment. So.
Right. Well, that's like a gateway drug for a lot of people. So that it's not a bad first step in for him becoming a cinephile like his dad. So
that's right. Yeah, loved it. What did you think?
I really liked it a lot. I don't think I liked it. I mean, this will kind of spoil a little bit of my rankings, but I didn't like it as much as Thunderbolts, which I really liked very much earlier this year. But I had a lot of fun with this. I thought it's an excellent entry point for you're introducing a new group of folks. It doesn't even take place on the same Earth as all the other MCU films. So it's really, you could just go in completely. I think it's very family friendly, like even the messaging around it. I love that it goes for this 60s style of this kind of Art Deco look. Even in the Marvel logo at the beginning, they don't use their usual logo. So they had a lot of fun with it. Another thing, it's so obvious that I didn't think about it until I saw the film. But of course, The Incredibles borrows from the Fantastic Four aggressively. That was intentionally. They are making their version of the Fantastic Four. So then this Fantastic Four movie just goes right back and borrows from the Incredibles, but in a very entertaining way, since, everybody has this, I'm sure a whole generation, multiple generations of folks have a real affinity for The Incredibles as well. So this was, I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it, and yeah, I thought it was, a solid. My letterbox review was a solid double, which Marvel needs nowadays. So it's not a home run, but it's a nice solid double.
They certainly do. That retro futuristic look was just so enjoyable, so fun,
Yeah.
and it went right through. We actually stayed till the end credits, which I don't like doing because it's always a letdown. But right at the very end, they still continue this retro feel, and it just was a joy to look at.
And a big, we won't spoil it here, although it's probably spoiled all over the internet already. But of course, this is unlike the Superman movie. These are consequential bonus scenes here at the end of the film.
Yeah, and it's funny how you mentioned The Incredibles. I really did think, especially with the Mole Man,
Sure. Yeah.
which is not a spoiler, doesn't spoil anything,
No.
but yeah, it just harks back to The Incredibles, which I love. I mean,
Right.
that's a 5-star movie for me, and yeah, it was just so fun. How brazen they were at stealing back those ideas.
Right. And for people who are not like comic book nerds, which I really am not, but when I was in middle school, high school, it was like the peak of the X-Men as a comic book, and everybody was reading the X-Men. And I was reading Batman. This is around the time that the Batman movie came out. So maybe a little bit before that. So I was more into DC than I was into Marvel, but my Marvel friends were all reading X-Men. That was like the peak of Wolverine and all those characters. But Fantastic Four, obviously always a huge classic, for generations. So people love these characters. Have you seen the previous Fantastic Four adaptations?
I think I have, yes, yes. Should we talk about them, or is it too embarrassing? This was the best one by far, I thought.
I do like Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, though, I have to say.
Okay, yeah, that's going way back, isn't it? The Silver Surfer, I can't really remember the Silver Surfer in the older one, but the
it's
Silver
all
Surfer
CGI.
was great in this one. Yeah.
Yes, terrific in this one. I agree. So yeah, a lot of fun. I loved it. I mean, I liked it, and I thought it was a confident setting up of these characters. And once again, I think that's a smart thing to do when we get into talking about the individual films. The worst of them for me was post the Avengers cycle ending, and they were not only making the movie, but they're like, here's 7 other characters too, and they're all going to be in TV series and movies. And I'm like, whoa, tell me one story I care about before you introduce another 4 people. Like you guys got to slow your roll significantly. And they were just overconfident that people would watch anything they put out. So just the idea you have a self-contained story. You could watch this film and watch nothing else Marvel related, and you'll be fine, which is unheard of recently on Marvels, I have to say. I mean, sorry, the Marvel MCU.
Correct. And it was delightfully wholesome as
Yes.
well, but didn't feel
Yep.
cheesy. I mean, especially the opening scene, it came in on a very quiet moment,
Yep.
which set up the whole family theme of the film. Now, the director was Matt Shackman, who I was correct. I did a little bit of research, and he did the WandaVision
Correct.
TV series, which the first few episodes I thought are some of the best TV that I've watched in recent years. Just so inventive, and this fascination with kind of retro sitcoms, and it really had a bit of a feel like that as well, like a more wholesome time when you could just sit back and watch something enjoyable on the television and not really have to think too much about it. And yeah, I thought the themes continued into this film, and he just does a really great job of it.
Yeah, I think that's why he got the job, and I think he did a really excellent job. Special effects in general are very good. Do you have any criticism about the casting of any of these characters? How'd you think about how everybody performed?
Just on the special effects, I thought the thing took me out a little bit, especially a couple of scenes took me out. But I think we just have to deal with that. I mean, I don't think CGI is getting much better for these type of films because it costs so much, and there's other things to think about. It still sells the effect for me, but it's not a bunch of rocks walking around. A couple of little bit of cheesy bits maybe towards the end, and it just follows a similar trope of most superhero movies, which is what my son criticized about. He's like, oh, it's just another one. But yeah, it is.
Right.
But I thought it was a really enjoyable one. Yeah, nothing too harsh to criticize. I just thought it was fun fun time with the fam.
I like the character of the Thing. I mean, this is how it is in the comics as well. But just seeing him in like the overcoat and the hat is very funny, although it is in the comics as well. But very funny. Like, what's the point, buddy? What's the point? But that is an entertaining. But yeah, and I agree that I think they've realized this character better, even in some of the earlier films. Even if they are wearing like a suit or something, which you can imagine someone actually in a suit but then augmented with CGI rather than this fully CGI character, which didn't quite work for me. And they can improve this. You know, they're gonna come back obviously in other films, so they can improve that particular aspect of the character or the design anyway. I think that Joseph Quinn, who I've liked him in other things before. I liked him in that Day One film last year, the Quiet Place. I liked him on Stranger Things. I don't like his Johnny Storm. Like this character didn't work for me. That was the one thing I feel like he just didn't quite work for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. He gets the one-liners, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And some kind of story with the Silver Surfer, which I won't go into, but it didn't really go anywhere. Yeah. But yeah, I can see that as a criticism. Yeah, it didn't really bother me, but yeah.
I don't think like the script is what it is. I don't think it's like a very complex script for these actors to pull off. So you really need to bring your own charisma. And that's what I kind of liked about Chris Evans. I think it's pretty much why he got the Avengers work later on, was because of his Johnny Storm. And you need to bring like an innate charisma to it. And I feel like maybe it's because he can't use his native accent. Maybe it's because he dyed his hair blonde. His character just seemed a little contrived to me. He didn't feel comfortable in the role to me, but he can grow into it, something that can improve over time. So, but yeah, that's the one thing I was like, kind of like, of the casting. Vanessa Kirby, fantastic, of course. And Pedro Pascal too.
Oh my God, she's incredible.
She's so good. Yes. And
she's like this magical creature. I mean, and she really got a chance to deliver just these looks and these eyes and lips. She's just a perfect vision of like a wife and also a mother in this. I mean, she was great. And Pedro Pascal, I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I think that the script doesn't do Pedro Pascal any favors. Like, he's the one who has to be idiotically say, well, I could have saved the world if I just made this decision. Not going to spoil it here. And it's just like, buddy, you're the smartest guy in the world. Not the right thing to say at that moment, just to let you know. So the script doesn't do him any favors, but his, he just has this innate charisma that works really well, especially when you have like the stakes of a family, imperiled and everything. So it's a good start, I thought, and a fun start. And it made, it opened about the same as Superman. Word of mouth's about the same. So it'll probably have a nice, strong run for the rest of the summer. And once again, it's not going to be like a guaranteed $1 billion grosser like Marvel used to do, but this is going to do better than the most recent films. And like I said, the baby steps, first steps, let's say, right? Let's slow it steady. Let's just one successful, well-liked film after the other. And let's forget about that Captain America Brave New World disaster that came out earlier this year.
Oh, yeah, let's forget about that. But this did lead into the next
Avengers
film, which I think that's the next one. Is that the next one in Marvel?
I don't know if the Avengers is the next one or if there's another one in between, but this is definitely obviously introducing, once again, this has been everywhere, but I guess we won't spoil it, but introduces the main villain of the Avengers, the next Avengers film, which I think is just a year away now. I think it's just next summer. So it's kind of crazy to have another Avengers film when they haven't had any really successful ones in between. But I mean, everyone's coming back for that. So they're going to, they're really desperately trying to save the franchise. I say they're desperate. They obviously are desperate. But the last two films I've been happy with. So maybe they keep that streak going.
Yes, and as you say, everyone is coming back for the next one. So that's a lot of characters, especially with all the new ones.
Oh my God, the original X-Men are coming back. It's crazy. Like, it's really insane that the people that are coming back for that film.
Oh my God. Yeah, okay. We have to get our heads around that. 3 hour long
I'm
part
sure.
one of something.
Yes, it'll probably be like 5 hours long, and this will be part one of that. All right, so given the Fantastic Four conversation, I don't know if this is going to make your top 10 or not, but let's quickly run down our top 10 choices for the MCU. We are not, by the way, including all the Spider-Mens, no Venoms, no original Fantastic Fours, no X-Men's. maybe someday we'll do that as well. But Jesus, that's like another 50 movies probably, right? Blade, too many to count.
All right, so I've included the last three Spider-Mans. Is that and the
Yes,
Deadpools as well? Are we
those
doing
are
those?
the Deadpool Wolverine. I would include the Spider-Man, the three. Yes, they are part of it. The other Deadpools, if they're not in your top 10, or if you want to move them around, you can include them if you want to. It's up to you if you want to include them. Go ahead.
Okay, no worries. I don't think they're in my top
It's
10.
not part of the MCU, but I don't think it's going to be in your top 10. But you go first. What's your number 10?
Number 10. Okay, probably controversial. Shang-Chi, which may be displaced by Fantastic Four. So yeah, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that, but my number 10, this might be controversial, is Black Panther, the first Black Panther.
Ooh, okay.
I have it at number 10. I would say that I ding it because I think Black Panther is the least interesting character in that film. I love the world building, love the villain, but he's a little sidelined in his own movie. So for me, it's a mixed bag. Positive, it's in my top 10, which is good. I mean, the top 10 I think are solid, but I think people normally rank this higher. It's my number 10.
Yep. Spoiler alert, I've got that higher.
Yeah. What's your number 9?
Number 9, Spider-Man Homecoming. I love it. Love the villain.
I'm not going to criticize you there either. And spoiler alert, it's higher on my list than yours on yours. But yeah, I like that one as well. My number 9 is The Avengers, the first Avengers. I only ranked this a little lower than I probably would have originally because it's so important to the franchise in general. Only because I've seen it recently and it doesn't quite hold up now that the whole series. But I mean, it's so important, right? That if that had not worked, this whole project would not have succeeded. But it is definitely in the upper tier for me, number 9.
Very
What's
cool.
your number 8?
Number 8, I've got Avengers Endgame, which brought everything together, all the characters. I was a bit miffed by the whole time travel situation, but yeah, I've watched it a few times. Epic, epic, epic ending.
It's higher for me, but my number 8 is Thor Ragnarok. This is my favorite of the Thor films. I, in general, do not like the Thor films, by the way, but I did like this Thor film a lot of fun. And yeah, mostly because I love the comedy and love the Thor character in this particular film. I think it turns a corner for me when I was really not that interested in the Thor character, really made him the Thor that we love now in the Avengers films. Mm-hmm. What's your number 7?
Okay, number 7, I've got Doctor Strange. Scott Derrickson, horror, Tilda Swinton. Yep, loved it. Had a really good time.
You know what? My Doctor Strange is ranked lower, but there's some things in that movie that I really don't like, but I almost rank that higher because I love Tilda Swinton in it. I love that whole final action sequences. For me, in general, I get bored with the Marvel action sequences. That whole action sequence at the end where he's like punching somebody into the wall while the wall is forming around them so that everything's moving backwards, but they're moving forwards is an incredible. The visuals are just absolutely incredible in that film and inventive in a way that so many other Marvel films can be so generic. So yeah, that one's, it's not in my top 10, but it's just outside.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That was your number 7. My number 7 is Thunderbolts, which I loved this year. I just love the characters. I couldn't wait to see them in something else. Yeah, I think the comedy is fantastic. I like the payoff. I like the villain, the way he kind of transforms from one character to the other without spoiling things here. Highly recommended, but I was a big fan of Thunderbolts. I don't know how you rank it in general.
Not in my top 10, but yeah, I did enjoy it a lot.
Okay. Your number 6.
Number 6, I've got Iron Man, the original, Robert Downey Jr., changing the game, Jon Favreau, setting it all up. Great film.
Yeah, I have it even higher. My number 6 is Shang-Chi. You said that you thought it was high at 10. I love Shang-Chi. My favorite thing of it is, first of all, speaking of a sideline main character, Shang-Chi is maybe the least interesting character in that film as well. But what I love about that film is I am so critical all the time when you have action scenes, especially in Marvel films, something they always get wrong, where there's no character development through the action, right? Like you think about what's that South African science fiction movie with aliens?
District 9.
District 9. I love District 9 because I like that the character development is through the action, like that the two things kind of, that it is a true action movie because the action is the character. And I love that the end of Shang-Chi is like this test between the father and the son. And yeah, it's just, I don't want to spoil things here if you haven't seen it, but I love that the action is essential to the plot, which is so uncommon in Marvel movies. Usually I just tune out during the action scenes, but this was like very intense. And I'm a big fan of Shang-Chi.
Yep, cool.
What's your number 5?
Number 5, I've got Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which I think is the Russo brothers' first
Yep.
Marvel movie, I think, and love the Winter Soldier character, and I just thought it was just so cool, just the action, the intrigue, and the way that it kind of referenced 70s movies.
That's not in my top 10, but it's just outside. I think it's number 11 on my list. And for the same reasons you said, it's like an adult, the first time the MCU kind of explored those type of ideas and really grew up a little bit, and very and smart enough to bring in other genres like a spy film into the MCU. My number 5 is Spider-Man: Homecoming. I love Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think it's such a perfect Spider-Man movie, and I love the Spider-Man character, so it's up there. Oh, and a great villain, like you said. What a great villain! Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to give that another watch. I haven't seen that in a while.
So good, so good. I still watch. That's one of the ones that some of these up top are ones that I watched a lot with my daughter during the pandemic. And that's one that, part of the reason that we both liked it so much that, kind of puts it up here.
And the reveal in the middle when you find out how the villain is related is just so fun. I was like, of course he is.
It's like a horror movie scene, right? He just opens the door. Oh, and then the conversation they have in the car when he's dropping her off.
Oh, so good.
So good. So good. What's your number 4?
Number 4, I've got Avengers, which I think just gets better every time I watch it. The character of Loki, it didn't hit me when I first saw it, but I've just seen it so many times since, and I think it's just a really perfect movie of this type.
Loki is such a great character there for sure. My number 4 is Captain America: Civil War, which I like, I think for the same reasons you like Captain America, the Winter Soldier so much. I like that the stakes are so personal. Like that, once again, in general with these things, when there's actual stakes in the final battle is not a giant, there's a city falling on top of another city or something. It's these two people fighting. And that there's such huge stakes for this because it's not only their friendship, but it's like the direction that the Avengers are going to go in. So, I think it's a terrific film. And also another Russo's film, by the way. They've been so bad outside of the MCU, but they've made some really good films within the MCU.
Yeah, they certainly have. Okay, yeah, I think that was just outside my top 10.
What's your number 3?
Number 3, Black Panther. Loved it. So fantastical. Wakanda is just incredible. Absolutely adored it. And a fantastic villain as well.
Yes. Great villain for sure. And world building. That's the thing that I love about Black Panther. Both of the Black Panther films. I don't think the second Black Panther film is very good at all, but this action scenes are excellent in that. And the world building, this same woman who won an Academy Award for Black Panther for designing this incredible, like you understand when you see these machines, the way they work or the way that, it's so thought out. It's as if she has really engineered like a city of the future and the whole movie happens within it. It's like really incredible world building. So I definitely appreciate those aspects of it for sure. My number 3 is Iron Man. Love Iron Man. Another movie that I watched over and over again with my daughter and also watched it with my nephews in movie theaters years ago. Always loved that. And of course, if that had not worked, this whole project would never have happened in the first place.
So true.
What's
Robert Downey Jr. Where would he be if he didn't have that?
Yeah, right.
Number 2, I've got Thor Ragnarok. I've probably seen that more times than any other Marvel movie. My kids love it. I love it. I love the inventiveness of Taika Waititi, the director, and I think it's just so fun. Cate Blanchett as the villain. Come on.
I'm going to do my number 2 and number 1 and let you do your number 1 by yourself, just because my number 2 is Infinity War and number 1 is Endgame. And I think Infinity War is probably a better film than Endgame, and I have some of the same critiques you have. But for me, just these two films, I just have to say that when can you imagine like a 20-something movie series culminating so satisfyingly? I saw that in a theater. It was absolutely electric, both of those films, but especially Endgame. And we're never going to have another cultural moment like that in the cinemas probably ever in our lifetime. So really exciting. And just as an achievement, I give them, like I said, some of these other films are probably better films as individual films, but an incredible achievement to pull it off. And I kind of give them ratings for that. What is your number one.
Well, surely you can guess that it is Infinity War.
Infinity War.
So good. I think there's a theme that I love the villains, and this is all about the villain, and he wins at the end, which is just so awesome. It's like an Empire Strikes Back moment. Yeah, I've seen that film again and again and again, and it's just the way they handle all the characters and the way it comes together, and they do their best, and they ultimately lose at the end. I think is fascinating. Love
really
that film.
is. Yeah. So, is there any chance you're going to put
Fantastic Four? First steps, maybe sneaking into the top 10 above Shang-Chi, but probably just outside where I've got Guardians Volume 3, the Captain America, the First Avenger, Civil War, Thunderbolts, that type of thing.
Yeah, I have Fantastic Four around 15, which is where I have like Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange and some of the Captain America films. So, and the other Doctor Strange film as well. It's probably in my top 20 also. I also like that one. I like the whole Sam Raimi of it. I know people hate that movie. It's funny. The middle of my list are all movies that I think most people hate. But for me, I particularly like them. Like, I really like the Sam Raimi-ness of the Multiverse of Madness. I like Iron Man 3 a lot more than people do because I like the Shane Black of it. You know, everybody's like, it's just like one of those old action movies from the 80s. I'm like, I know, that's what I like about it. I grew up watching those movies, you know, so it's in that mid-range, but the upper mid-range, like definitely on the positive side, just on the outside looking in. And who knows, if I watch these all again, maybe it'll rank higher. Do you have, you want to do the bottom five real quick?
Bottom five, real quick. The bottom, I've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. What a mess. Iron Man 2, not interested. I think I saw it once or twice, can't get through it. Thor the Dark World, exactly the same, can't get through it. Eternals, which I didn't mind when I first watched it, but trying to watch it again, crazy. And then another Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yep.
Yeah, my bottom five is five. I'll go in opposite order, 5-1, one being the worst. The fifth worst is The Eternals, which looks great, but is just like a nothing burger of a film, like incredibly. My next one up is next from the bottom is Captain Marvel, the first one, which made over $1 billion, but I did not like that movie at all. It did nothing for me. I actually like Marvels, which I thought was some of the action in Marvels is better than Captain Marvel, but obviously Marvels was the huge financial disaster. But I don't, you know, like I said, if it wasn't in between the two Avengers movies, that movie would not have made $1 billion for sure. Next up is Quantumania, which is terrible. We don't have to talk about that one too much. The next up, my number 2 is the Hulk, the not the Eric Bana Hulk, which I kind of like, that weird Frankenstein movie. I'm talking about the original, the one that came right after Iron Man with Ed Norton, Incredible Hulk, which is another movie that like I've seen and remember absolutely nothing about, and of course is a direct prequel, I should say, to the absolutely terrible worst movie of this whole thing, which is Captain America, the Brave New World, which is a complete and utter disaster.
Actually, yeah, I lie. I had Captain America: Brave New World. Yeah. Worse bottom, than right? Eternals. Yeah. Terrible.
Not surprising. Yeah, that is like really the bottom of the barrel. And by the way, some of those other films maybe were worse. There was some fun action in that Brave New World, but that was the moment when I was watching that movie being like, what am I even doing here? Like, get me out of here. It was just my breaking point. So for sure, I was like, thank God the last 2 films have been good, because I was about to abandon ship on the whole project.
That was a stinker.
All right, Darren, that was a lot of fun. Everything else is kind of in the mushy middle. Mostly, I mean, maybe we'll rank them at some future point when another Marvel film comes out. We can kind of do the middle, say like, what are the mid movies from most good mid to most weak mid? Because it's definitely, you know, like that. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
A lot of these middle films.
I had Captain Marvel a lot higher than you did, and I think because I did watch it with my young daughter, and she absolutely went nuts when she finally became Captain Marvel, and it was so fun to see her react to that. So that's the only reason I have it right up there, and the Kevin Smith cameo, script cameo.
That is there definitely is that aspect. Yeah. I mean, I think that what your kids' relationship to the films definitely has an impact as well.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I did say I had Shang-Chi at 10, and my son was like, what? That's way higher. You should have that in your top 5, like you did.
Wow, he had it that high. I'm surprised. The reason I'm surprised by that is I always say like, that's so good. The end of that is so good. And everyone's like, oh, really? I didn't like that movie. And then just recently we had a barbecue and one of the dads goes, oh, sorry, we're late. But me and my son, we started watching Shang-Chi and we couldn't stop watching it. The end is so good. I'm like, I know it's so good.
Awesome.
So I'm like another convert in there. So speaking of comic characters, the Comic-Con was happening this week, and there was after COVID, it was pretty quiet. A lot of people did not show up for Comic-Con, which isn't just comic books anymore. It's like basically anything sci-fi, anything genre, basically horrors, you name it, everything. You used to go to Comic-Con and premiere there, and it's been quiet the past few years. This year seemed to be a turnaround, especially for TV. A lot of stuff got announced there. So some things we've discussed here on the show. First of all, not related to Comic-Con, but I want to shout it out because I keep forgetting to. Just wanted to mention that Murderbot has officially been renewed for a second season. Did you finish Murderbot by chance?
I did finish Murderbot, yes, I did.
What'd you think of that finale?
I thought it was a good finale, yeah. But like you, I thought the whole show went on a little bit, and it was just too much bite-sized episodes, and I got a little bit annoyed with the whole posse of goodness that these people have. But yeah, I love Skarsgård and the Murderbot for sure.
And he'll be in a completely different scenario for anybody who's read the books. He is, as you see at the end of that season, he's continuing this quest to understand himself better, and he's going somewhere completely different. So this, if you kind of got tired of these particular characters, I honestly don't know further down in the series if he does reunite with some of these characters, but not in the second book, and I assume not in the second season of the show either.
Interesting. Okay.
Mobland also renewed for a second season, just to mention that officially, now finally renewed. It was such a huge hit. I knew it was going to happen. And we talked in the podcast here that there must have been some negotiations or something going on because the show was very, very popular. And now it's officially coming back for a second season. Duster is not coming back for another season. Not surprising at all. I did watch that one through the end, by the way. And yeah, no reason to bring that back. Let's leave it there. I did like the central performance, though, but almost everything else in that show didn't quite work for me. All right, here's the big Comic-Con news. First of all, my number one most anticipated show of the year, I thought it was coming out this summer, still has not come out. When is this show coming out? The Vince Gilligan, what's her name now? Rhea Seehorn TV
Rhea
series.
Seehorn.
Yes. That show has a title and a release date. It's coming out November 7th, near Election Day, by the way. It's called Pluribus, with the I replaced with the number 1, which of course is a reference to E Pluribus Unum, which is the motto of the United States, from many one. So that is another teaser there. But we still don't know what the show's about. This is all we know. They have a 30-second trailer where you see a woman, not Rhea Seehorn, who is giving away donuts for free, seems to be at a school or something. And she says, take as many as you like. And for 30 seconds, she goes and licks every single donut and puts it back in the container. And then the logo, the artwork for the show was announced, and it is a Petri dish with somebody making a smiley face in the Petri dish with the edge of the swab that they're using. And we see a picture of Rhea Seehorn on the phone, very terrified. And then lastly, we have a description of the show, and all it says is, the most miserable person on earth must save everyone from happiness.
Wow.
Oh, and the trailer. Oh, by the way, I buried the lead. The trailer, when she's licking the donuts and putting them down, ends with the tagline that says, happiness is contagious. So we have something contagious. We have the Petri dish. So I'm guessing here, but this is very Vince Gilligan, maybe in X-Files mode, because that's where he started, that maybe this is a virus that makes people happy artificially. And maybe somebody wants to infect everybody. So this could be like a pandemic of happiness. And then maybe the downsides potentially of having to be happy all the time, whether you want to be or not.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So very intrigued.
Look, you had me at Rhea Seehorn and Vince Gilligan. I mean, he's just an absolute genius. But yeah, she was so fantastic in that.
Better Call Saul.
What was it called? Better Call Saul. I loved that film. I love that show so much. So yeah, I'm down for that. Absolutely, for sure. 100%.
And season 2, by the way, has already been greenlit and will actually probably start shooting around the time the show premieres, which means that I think, as we've seen, these streamers are trying to get some kind of cadence to keep their subscribers on the hook to get these shows out within a year. So I think, maybe the reason they delayed this release date is to be able to shoot the next season so that it comes out relatively quickly. As a matter of fact, speaking of that, Paradise season 2 just had a teaser at Comic-Con where they showed part of the pilot episode, and they introduced Shailene Woodley is coming as one of the survivors in the outside world, actually, for season 2.
Okay, interesting.
That's coming probably before the end of the year, by the way. Another big premiere for us here on the podcast. They also showed the first 20 minutes of The Long Walk. Are you a Stephen King fan, by the way?
Of course. Who isn't?
Have you ever read The Long Walk?
I have not, no.
It's very good. It's one of the Richard Bachman books, the ones he wrote under Richard Bachman. Interestingly, they're making this. It's coming out next month. I saw the trailer for it when I went to see Together. Well, one of the horror movies I saw recently. This was a trailer that they showed with Mark Hamill as the villain. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into the breakdown of the trailer here, but just to say that it's interesting. It's a very contained type of storyline. But another Richard Bachman book that he wrote was The Running Man, which of course is also coming out in November. So quite a year for Stephen King adaptations. Speaking of, also at Comic-Con, they showed a preview for It, Welcome to Derry, which now officially has a release in October. So we'll also be talking about that here on the podcast, just letting you know. But it's coming in October. And
that's a TV show, right?
TV, yeah. I'm currently watching The Institute, which is okay. It's okay. Another Stephen King adaptation. And also this summer we had The Life of Chuck, which also played not a horror film, but another Stephen King adaptation. So quite a string of Stephen King adaptations this year. Salem's Lot. Skip that one, everybody. And what else? Tron Aries, by the way, also had a big premiere at Comic-Con. But I wanted to call it out just because when I would see F1, they showed the IMAX trailer for Tron Aries with the Nine Inch Nails music playing. And I got to tell you, I have no idea what's happening in that trailer, but I'm like, just put this on loop for about an hour and a half. I'll be happy. I had chills down my spine when some of the effects sequences are going on and like a full on Nine Inch Nails soundtrack going. I'm like, oh my God, I don't care if it sucks. I'm going to watch it.
Oh man, the last 3 movies I've seen, we've walked into that trailer.
It's crazy, right?
So good.
And because of the soundtrack, like, I mean, minus the soundtrack, I probably would not be that intrigued, but I'm like, oh man, this with the soundtrack, sign me up.
And the last film was the Daft Punk soundtrack, which was epic too.
Right. That was excellent as well. Yes, absolutely. One last thing I want to bring up before we finally get into the smoke is they also have added, for anybody out there who has not watched Predator, Killer of Killers, and they showed this at the Comic-Con conference as well, but it's now on Hulu. There is another scene at the end, and in that we also see Dutch from Predator 1, and apparently Schwarzenegger is coming back to this franchise in some way. So I ask you, Darren, how would you want to see Schwarzenegger integrated into the Predator world?
I'm stunned. Sorry, I didn't pick that. You've thrown me. But of course he's coming back. I saw the new Predator Badlands trailer, and now I know what it's about. And he's got a sidekick character, and it looks hilarious. It looks so much fun. I really want to see it. Dutch, oh my God. Well, he's going to come back as one of the heroes, right? That can defeat a predator, but gee, I don't know how he's going to look.
I assume he's going to be older. So like, has he been living out on, I don't know if you ever saw, I think you did. You mentioned that you had seen that Predators movie where they're on the planet together. Is he like the Danny Glover character? No, he was not. But I remember Danny Glover was like living in a mountain and like living in a cave from Predator 2. So I'm like, is he going to be like that? Like, I've been living in this cave for the past, X number of years.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
But yeah, we'll see. Or you know what? Maybe it's another animated movie they have in the future. But they did not explain details of how Dutch is coming back. Just mentioned that they have spoken to Schwarzenegger and Dutch is coming back. We'll see. I don't want to be like a CGI character, by the way. That would be terrible. But like you see, maybe have him come back just as a vocal performance in an animated film, perhaps. I wouldn't mind seeing another sequel to Predator, Killer of Killers. So
yeah, I'm getting flashbacks being all excited when he came back into the Terminator franchise, and I'm not sure how successful that was or how excited I was when I actually saw it.
Yeah, I mean, that whole concept of him, like, he's a robot, but he can age now. I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. He does have that body on the outside, but it is kind of funny to think about. All right,
I'd probably be more excited if it has his son, Patrick, in it.
Yeah, right. Oh, good point. We have Patrick there playing him as I don't know if he could really pull that off, though. So, but maybe he gets to take a lot more steroids, and maybe he can get pumped up to match his dad's physique.
I think he's got another son who looks a bit more like his physique too.
Yeah, the one like
Yeah, the maid's son.
the maid son, exactly. So let's get into episode 6 of Smoke, called Manhood. We do see the outline, anyway, of his manhood by the end of this film episode, I should say.
I did laugh when I saw the opening title. I did. I was like, what are we going to see?
And it pays off in more ways than one.
It does pay off for sure.
And of course, we get a definition every week. This one is epiphany, a sudden perception of insight into the essential nature of something. So what epiphany do we have here? I guess there's a few epiphanies as far as understanding characters, perhaps, and the revelation of who this arsonist is.
Yes, that's when I saw that epiphany. I'm like, we're going to find out what the format of this show is, and our reality is going to be changed, possibly.
We still don't know what that reveal is, and there definitely is going to be one, by the way. At this point, it's pretty certain, but it is pretty late in the season. We have only 3 more episodes to go, so it's pretty nuts. But we can tease it throughout here that we see multiple moments in which reality fractures here.
Yeah, totally. And I was so excited when he looked into the mirror.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, so we start off exactly there in the hospital, but before the mirror scene, which is incredible, we have his wife show up. And how incredible is this? Once again, this, if we need any more indication that this is obviously being written by someone who feels like they are the aggrieved spouse in this situation, think about this woman's dialogue to him, where it's like, when I got the phone call, I was hoping they were telling me you were dead. And then, to take this at face value, the whole idea that she's like, why are you reacting the way you are? How is he supposed to take this news that your wife actually wishes you were dead?
So funny. It's amazing. The way it's shot like through the Venetian blinds. It's very cinematic, and she's just standing there backlit.
And then we have this moment where I think we're starting to see here, and we're probably going to see more of this, where reality is intruding on this fantastical version of whether this is a book or whether this is his own delusion that we're seeing. I'm a little uncertain as to what it is, but we do see this fracturing of reality seeping in, because then in the mirror, you see from a distance, I'm like, wait a second, is he balding? And then, he gets closer to the mirror. I actually just rewatched this right now and paused it. And he's got he's older, his hair is thinner, he's heavier. So it's obviously, we presume at this moment that this is him seeing his real self, and somehow this is puncturing this fantasy he's in.
It was so exciting to see. I didn't pause it, but the effect was quite jarring when you see his thinning hair, and he's seemed like he had more wrinkles, and just the way that the reality is being fractured, and we're getting a peek finally into what this show could be about, was super exciting to me.
And once again, it's this idea that this version of it, I think that that's what's happening in that moment. Of course, he's had the car accident and everything else. And for all I know, and to be honest, I still think we're inside of a story, and I'll get into why by the end of this episode. But I think it's pretty clear now that that's the case. But it's just interesting to, like, the show is finally showing its hand to some extent.
That's right. And then the nurse came in. And so it was really obvious that he's listening to something different or hearing something different to what the nurse is actually saying.
Well, I mean, this is also very funny. In a very funny episode, you see her come in initially, and she says to him, we wanted to keep you here for under observation. And the camera like whip pans like it's a 1970s, Starsky and Hutch or something. And the music changes, and he's like, I have to go out of here. I have work to do. I have lives to save. And then you see that he's actually in there by himself. And then she just walks in and she says, you can go home now. That's it. That's all. Okay. Meanwhile, on the investigation front, this is also very entertaining. Just the new, Anna Klumsky shows up here as an ATF agent. Ezra now has been introduced to this team. Ezra has all this animosity towards Greg Kinnear. And Kinnear is definitely in the wrong, but he's so hilarious when he's just cutting down Ezra, like being like, what's wrong with you? How many drinks have you had today? Like continuously berating him across the board. The interactions there are hilarious.
Oh my God. I laughed out loud when John Leguizamo started doing star jumps in his office. because he's so hyped up, and he's like, "What do you want?" He's like listing all the alcohol and the microdosing ketamine and everything that he's on, and he's just got all this energy. He just has to exercise right then and there.
He's just so excited to be back in the game, right? He's been like, dreaming about this for who knows how long.
Yeah, I am a bit skeptical that they'd just keep him around. So Anna Chomsky, she's like, is she from Veep? Is she
She was on Veep. Yeah, she's like a child actress, and then like disappeared for years. I think she just went to college and stuff, and then came back for Veep, and now she's kind of made a new career for herself. So really fun to see her here with darker hair.
She was really fun.
Yes.
Yeah, great. I didn't recognize it, but I saw the name in the credits, and it just all clicked as you said it today.
Yeah, I love when she shows up and Ezra immediately, he has so much confidence, and you know what? You make none of the shots you don't take, right? So, but it's hilarious that, he's been hitting on Calderon like this whole entire time, just trying to see like, well, maybe, if she's desperate, maybe I'm an option. And then she walks in and he's just like slicking his hair back, going like, hello, why don't you and I go investigate this on our own? Very fun.
I love the way she tolerates him because you never know, he might contribute to the case. So she's her mind is open to everything, which is really refreshing.
She's very smart. You can just tell right away that she's more on the ball than anybody else is, even though she's knocking down people saying that this is all circumstantial. But then as soon as the Kinnear character is saying, see, it's all circumstantial, this doesn't hold up. And she's like, well, he definitely did it. we just don't have any solid evidence, but he definitely did it. So it's funny that's kind of like everybody in the room kind of agrees that he's done it, except for Kinnear, who's been blind this whole entire time. So obviously doesn't want to accept it.
Yeah, I still think there's something going on there. I don't know why he's so adamant that Dave did not commit these crimes. I think there's something up there still.
Well, we get to the end and he seems very upset at himself. I assume that we're supposed to read that as on the up and up. Within, once again, this is the problem with this whole show, is that within whatever construct we're seeing this in, right? He may very well just be a character or a version of the truth, because it could be, imagine this was written by the perpetrator of these crimes. He might be, in a way, belittling all these people who never caught him. They were idiots. That was right there. They didn't even see me, so we don't know if this is legitimate. It's possible that, we find out that the captain was like, oh, I suspected him the whole time. I tried to fire him 25 times and no one would listen to me. So like, we don't know the real story, but the character as it's presented, I think, is legitimately upset by the end of this whole thing.
And that's right. That's the only frustrating bit about this show for me, is that we just don't know exactly what's going on, which we say every single week.
Right.
But apart from that, the show is so bloody good. And I'm a little bit annoyed that the initial reviewers' sentiment about this show was it's like a mid-level show, which kind of set me up for watching a mid-level show, but it's not. It's really, really fantastic, really entertaining.
Yeah, I think at its best, it is definitely those things, and very intriguing. And I agree. And it's possible the critics got to see the entire show, so they might be part of. They might have found the reveal late in the game, which I still think we're going to have. They might have felt like confused by it or angered by it, so that's why they gave it a negative review. So it's possible that that's what ended up happening. I personally, if there's a big reveal and it was a binge, which of course they get all the episodes at once, I would find that less frustrating than going week to week and being like theoretically, potentially, we still don't even know how this is all going to play out, because for all we know, 80% of what we're seeing is true, and it's just what we see from Dave's perspective that could be distorted in some way. That's a possibility, right? Like we could eventually see like, well, this is what Dave actually looks like, and this is what actually happened. What we were seeing was his narrative from his point of view, right? So it could just be partially that's what we're going to see. I don't know yet, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think during this show, his hair, even though we see flashes of his hair really thinning, I think even during the show, his hair is just looking a little bit less spectacular, as Taron Egerton's hair can look.
And it looks, it also looks like he's wearing a wig, even though like Taron does not, seem to be losing his hair, or not at this level, and not to this extent anyway. So it does seem like intentionally artificial, the whole hairstyle. What else we have here? So during the investigation, Oh, another really funny scene in this investigation is early on when Kinnear gets a call from Goodson, and he's like, "What do I do?" And the Anna Klumsky character is like, "Answer the phone," and everyone is so awkward in that it's like, this is not how you cover your tracks. This is that whole thing made me laugh. I love, like, what do I do? Answer the phone. Talk to your
It was
friend.
so
What
funny.
are you talking about? What do you do? This
And
isn't
even
like,
Corderone, who's never,
yes.
she's never uncomfortable. She comes in, oh, I just walked in.
Yeah, exactly. I just walked into the office by chance. So the thing that finally gets, this is also seems very contrived, but so maybe intentionally, I should say, that finally gets Kinnear on their side is this. They basically have this bad audiobook running in the background constantly, which is pretty funny. And Kinnear's like, I kind of like it. And they're like, Calderon's like, turn it off. I can't take it anymore. But as he's about to leave the office, storming out, going, hey, you guys have a bunch of circumstantial evidence that doesn't add up to anything. He hears in this story, in his story, the story of this early fire where this family died, based on a true fire, by the way, just so you know. I've done research on the actual case. I'll save it for the finale of the episode. I'll give you the correlations. But all I'll tell you right now is that I don't think, by the way, anybody out there who wants to read up on the actual case, I don't think it's going to spoil the show in any way because it's so different in so many ways. But what is interesting is everything we're seeing here in this episode, as far as the evidence against him, this is almost identical to the case that was made against the actual person. So, and one of them is exactly this detail that this family that died, one of the first fires that he set, he has this detail of basically knowing what people were talking about in the building, and he couldn't possibly be privy to that particular thing. And that's basically what we see here, or the reaction that Kinnear has, where he says, I interviewed that grandfather. He told me about his grandson, very sad, right, his child dying, and that Goodson was there, talking them through this tough time, when this is the guy who set the fire. So this really crushes him.
That's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that it's an actual real fire and an actual real family that died, and they're using it as entertainment. It's quite interesting. But yeah, I thought that reveal as he was walking out defiantly and he finally hears that. I mean, it's so fantastical and crazy, but just the type of twist that this show offers up all the time.
Yeah. So Dave was there. Dun, dun, dun. And that convinces him, once again, pretty contrived, that that's going to be, this once again
totally
feels like is the type of thing where it wouldn't just be like, here's a preponderance of circumstantial evidence. This is something from that they mention here in the show. So it's not a spoiler, but it happened in real life too. They, once they started investigating these fires that took place around these conferences, this is years later, the person who had found this audio, this book, this transcript of an actual novel, started going and investigating those crimes, because in the book, this person is setting all these fires. And then what they basically do is they went and looked at these multiple fires that took place around police conferences, or fire department conferences, I should say. And they're like, let's just line up all the people who attended all those, and they have just 3 names that overlap, and one of them is the guy who wrote this book. So it's hinted at here, but basically it's just like, come on, man, come on.
easy as that.
Easy as that. So that's the thing that finally turns them to see what's actually happening. And but meanwhile, of course, Dave is pursuing this arsonist. I forgot to mention that with this side investigation, they are so fixated on getting Dave, which of course someone in their midst that would obviously would be your focus, but they have misidentified this arson as not being part of this series of arsons. But Dave knows better. Dave knows, nope, this is the same arsonist. And he starts digging and he connects all the dots. They find the bag that it paid off, the bag with the tag in it. They find the tag. He looks at the video. The video is of Freddy. They find out that Freddy works at Coops. Turns out that this guy's the HR guy for Coops. He goes to the HR office and goes, oh, were these guys friends? Like, he wasn't friends, but he did come in for an interview last week. Oh, he did he? And of course, this all leads to him making all these discoveries. And then that all leads to the culmination at the end. Let's save that for the very end. But Meanwhile, at Coop's, Freddy, of course, has not shown up. And this is very intense. All of this was very intense and very interesting the way they flesh out the Freddy character here. Freddy's not someone who can speak for himself, but they do a very interesting. You get to understand how damaged he is and some of these things that have damaged him. And I thought this was really the Freddy character is very interesting in this episode.
I agree. I thought he was very touching, and the way the actor performed him really sold it. Finally, Dave does some good investigation work, and everything pays off, which was very satisfying. And the whole Freddy character in the abandoned showgrounds, amusement park, and with his friend, and how his friend kind of finally understands what Freddy is all about. I thought it was hauntingly brilliant. Yeah, really fun to watch.
Yeah, all of this was so good, and the show had already been at this point, the tease of reality smashing through that mirror scene already intrigued me, and then the really funny, the new investigator group that's kind of coalescing, this odd group of folks that are, taking Dave down or very close to taking Dave down, and all the performance there, especially Kinnear, all of that stuff is great. And then we get him calling up Lee, and then Lee shows up at this abandoned amusement park, and we suddenly see that Freddy is not this idiot. I mean, he obviously has social problems, but he's, can be, when he's talking about something he's interested in, he can actually put more than two words together. But the way this thing starts to unravel, I don't understand, by the way, like, even if you think this guy's an arsonist, the fact that he hands him his phone and he throws it away, then he hands him his keys. I'm like, dude, just run away. Why isn't he just make a beeline for the gate, man? Like, however you got there, just go back the same way. And don't give him your keys. Why do you give him his keys?
I'm pretty sure I've got friends that are just like Lee.
It's the the flight or fright.
But yeah, I didn't know where it was going, which was quite captivating at that point in time, where he threw his phone away and he gave him his keys, but he gave him an escape route. I'm like, is he actually giving him an escape route? Right. What is happening here? I thought it was, really cool.
I was wondering if he was going to actually let him escape, or if there was some kind of fire trap, like he would step out and be engulfed in flames or something. But nothing so dramatic. He actually did give him a way out. I guess it just gives him his lead time because he gets to take his car. And then I guess he was going to not only kill the Adina Howard character, the hairdresser, but I guess kill himself at the same time. So I guess he didn't really care as long as he had enough time to finish his mission. So he was basically letting Lee off the hook. I mean, Lee was the only person who ever related to him as a person. So I guess he sees him as a friend.
That's right. Yeah. And a character like Lee is open to other characters on the fringe as well. So I thought that was quite sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was an intriguing character. And then all of this culminates. By the way, Dave has continued this investigation in parallel with all these other storylines. We find out that Freddy had been through 27 foster homes. The last foster home he was at, he had been there from 16 to 19. Once the state stopped paying for his foster care, they basically got rid of him. They couldn't afford to keep him, basically. And then of course, soon thereafter, he goes, "Oh, it looks like he dodged a bullet because the house burned down." And Dave, of course, says he was the bullet.
He was the bullet.
Or at least he wished he said that in the moment, let's say.
I thought it wrapped up quite nicely, but I've got one question. I'm unsure of the relationship between Freddy and the hairdresser. Was she one of his siblings in one of the homes, or was she a carer? What? How did you understand that?
They didn't. Yeah, I don't think they explained it, or if they. I feel like when I was watching the show, actually, take it back. When I was watching the show, I felt like I understood their relationship moments before he showed up. And then now I just rewatched the very last moments of the episode again, and I didn't see that. But somehow, I guess I had inferred it, but I agree with what you said. Basically, long short of it is that I do think that the reason she's so friendly with him and checks in with him and gives him these haircuts and all this other stuff, and says like, "Oh, look, you're looking so good today," and you're like, "What is she hitting on him or something?" And I think no, she probably was a foster child in the same foster home, and she's just kept tabs on him because she probably knows he doesn't have this is a very odd person who struggles. And as a matter of fact, that last scene is so intense. And part of it is his desperation in wanting to kill himself and kill this woman who's like the only person who's been kind to him, other than Lee, which he did spare him at least, but that he is at the end of his rope. And that moment when he says that he went to the movies and she's like, today, and he goes, once.
Once.
Only once. But
I felt so sad for him.
It's so sad. Well, I mean, he says the same thing about the amusement park, right? He goes, did you hang out here all the time? And he has all these details about the amusement park. And he's like, no, I came here once. And he still remembered all the things they said when he went on that tour, because it's the only experiences he's had in life. It's so pathetic. I mean, really, such a tragic figure. But in that moment where he says, I went to the theater and everybody was laughing and it wasn't funny. Why were they all laughing? And it's just like, in a nutshell, it's like his whole alienness and how he just does not fit in. And that's where this rage comes from, to burn it all down to the ground, right?
I mean, so incredible when he explained that he wasn't laughing and everybody was laughing. You can understand that. And you can understand that if you go to the movies often and you're into storytelling, you understand formats, and you understand why this is funny or why this actor is funny. And if you're completely, you don't sample any of that stuff and you're in your own head and isolated, you would really feel like an alien and feel completely separate from everyone else. I thought it was really touching, that moment, that the way that he was interacting with her, and the fact that she has such she's such a pinnacle in his life. And it was really sweet the way that she paid off, her character paid off, even though we don't really know exactly what their relationship was, but it was it was really touching.
Yeah, I mean, and what a great performance she gives when she's just like, he pulls her down. Like, she is trying to not overreact because he can just set the house on fire at any moment. So she just kind of scoots up on the counter to just, which is what I would have done too. Just be like, I would be as far away from the floor if it catches fire right now. And he pulls her down and she starts crying and she says, I don't want to die. And it was like really intense. I'm like, oh my God, is he going to burn them both up right now?
Oh, it's full on.
By the way, this is how I felt when I saw The Water Boy and everybody was laughing except for me, and I didn't burn down the house afterwards. I'm like, this is funny. Why is everybody laughing? And then, of course, this extremely intense and emotional moment, Dave comes in, and all of this is hilarious. Everything goes into slow motion. He kicks out his bullets. I'm not sure why he had to kick out the clip to pull off this maneuver. I guess because he didn't want to throw him a loaded gun. I guess that's what it was, right? If the guy caught it and tried to shoot him, that would be embarrassing to say the least, right? And he sees the fire extinguisher and he puts out the fire just in time and, douses everybody with the flame retardant. And then even the hairdresser can't help but notice that he does not need his ED medication today.
Incredible. And just the image of Freddy on his knees, soaked in the white fire retardant. I mean, it's just
what does that mean? Yeah, good point.
Incredible. And the whole slow motion, throwing the gun, and oh my God! I mean, I loved it. It was so good. I can't contain my enjoyment for this episode.
And just,
so funny.
I was cackling.
So fantastic.
I was cackling at the end, like it's so hilarious, so hilarious. Yeah, and I needed that, by the way. Like, it's so intense. Like, I was on the edge of my seat, like terrified for this woman, and 2 minutes later, cackling away.
Oh, so funny. As an aside, like, the very next show that I watched, my wife read a book called The Slap. It's by an Australian author. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've heard of this show.
Australian TV
I've never
series
seen it.
called The Slap. And then there was, I think, a Netflix remake that had Brian Cox and Uma Thurman in it. So we've only watched the first couple of episodes. But the very first episode is very interesting. And it ends exactly the way that this episode of Smoke ends, with the main character with a hard-on.
Oh my God, really? Holy cow.
And it was the very next show that I watched. So
wow.
These two shows have I don't know what's going on, but yeah, very interesting portrayals of manhood.
Yes, manhood indeed. A lot of talk of manhood here. We're running out of time, but I did want to mention for the last time, hopefully, before the show plays its hand. This is fake, okay? First of all, there's been people on social media that's saying it's so weird they cast Edgerton, by the way, Edgerton. I sent you that video. Although he spells it different from the other Australian Edgertons, by the way.
Yes, he does.
He's 35 years old. And they're like, it's so weird because all his love interests on this show are like 10 years older than he is. And I'm like, no, because this is an idealized version of him. He doesn't have a chiseled jaw. He doesn't look like Taron Egerton. He isn't 35 years old. And these women are 10 years older than him or more. This is his this version of him that he's seeing. Of course, the reflection in the hospital is another thing that gives things away, possibly.
Yep.
But lastly, here's the thing that I feel is such a giveaway here. They have numerous times in this show mentioned that he's from Umberland. I'm like, what is this Umberland? There's no Umberland on the West Coast. These actual fires took place around Los Angeles, by the way, in California. But there's nothing, I don't think we're supposed to believe it's California, but somewhere on the West Coast, right? But here, multiple times in this episode, when Freddy is burning his birth certificate, it says the state of Orrington. And then we see when Greg Kinnear is punching breaking his hand on that glass, that it's some a reward he's gotten from Orrington. And Oregon and Washington, for somebody, I mean, how often do you read a book where they'll change maybe a city name, but they don't change the name of the state? That's pretty uncommon, or the name of the country, right? Like, unless you're talking about like Wakanda or something. But in general, you don't really do that if you're setting things up like as a police procedural or something. But it really feels like someone going like Oregon, Washington, let's call it Orrington, really seems like something that like a cheesy author would do. And the fact that this episode specifically shows us they live in Orrington State multiple times, I'm like, no one lives in Orrington State by definition. Like this is preposterous. So this show has got to finally just pull off the Band-Aid and tell us what's really going on in next week. I mean, next week's where I draw my line. I need to know.
I need to know, please. Yeah, I didn't pick up that Orrington, but yeah, good on you. I trust you to pick up those details.
Yeah, check it out. Like I said, once again, check out his birth certificate, the state of Orrington, and then when he's looking at the, whatever Captain of the Year award before he punches the wall or punches the frame, it says state of Orrington. I'm like, Orrington, my ass.
All right, give it to us. We need it. We need the reveal. We want to understand what's going on.
Indeed. All right, Darren, thanks again for a very entertaining conversation.
Awesome.
All right, Darren.
Thanks, Victor. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.